Welcome to another episode of On the Deck. I'm on my way to the Great Lakes Maritime Heritage Center to meet with John Bright. Today we're going to be talking about a very special shipwreck, so let's get right to it. The E.B. Allen first set sail in 1864 from Ogdensburg, New York. The ship navigated the rough lake waters, often traveling great lengths to deliver grain. Sadly, the Allen only had 7 years of operation before it met its demise. So we're here in the Artifact Conservation Lab where maritime archaeologists like John and volunteers discover and look at different pieces that have been found on these different shipwrecks, as you can see, like steering wheels. We also have some different cutlery and glasses, all these different things you can find. So I figured that this would be the perfect spot to talk about the E.B. Allen, John.
Yeah, the E.B. Allen is one of the shipwrecks that was lost in the sanctuary. It's a 134-foot long wooden schooner, had 2 masts, and it participated in the grain trade that proliferated on the Great Lakes throughout the middle and later 1800s.
And how did the ship sink?
So the E.B. Allen, like many of the vessels that traveled along the waters of Lake Huron, was lost in a collision. It was in I think it was 1874. It was traveling with a load of grain past, Thunder Bay Island, and it collided with another vessel. The two hit one another. The E.B. Allen had a big hole on its port side as a result of the collision, began taking on water and sank, but the crew fortunately had enough time to get off of the vessel. They were picked up by the ship that hit them, as a matter of fact. And so they were all safely brought to shore, but the vessel was lost and remains on the bottom of the lake.
Just as the artifacts in the room, the E.B. Allen is also preserved deep in the waters of Lake Huron. But what causes this shipwreck and others like it to stay in such pristine conditions?
I've seen shipwrecks all around the world, and lots of them in the ocean and in different environments where, biological growth and things like that will cover and obscure details of what you're there to investigate. So what struck me about the E.B. Allen being preserved in cold freshwater is that it's, very easy to examine. You can see the wood, you can see the fasteners, how the ship is put together, where in a lot of other places around the world you can't see these historic shipwrecks in that level of detail. And so it's really like an underwater lesson in wooden ship construction in the 1800s. You can see the deck beams, the frames, the planking, the machinery that's still present there, the masts that are there. So it's a really impressive sight because you can learn a lot just from just focusing on how it was built.
The Allen sits 100 feet below the surface and just 2 miles southeast of Thunder Bay Island. It's not the most easily accessible shipwreck. For divers, it's a bit of a challenge, but the reward of seeing the ship up close, priceless.
The E.B. Allen is resting upright on the bottom. There's a hole in its port side, which is the evidence of that collision that resulted in its sinking. A lot of the planking that runs across that top deck is gone, but that exposes the deck beams and the knees and the real structural materials that provide the backbone of the vessel. And you can look down through that then and see into where the cargo holds would have been, that open space inside the hull of the vessel. And then swimming towards the stern, it's large enough of a vessel that if you were to swim down inside of it, you could be underneath that deck level, around the sides of the ship around you, moving through that cargo hold, and then back up and out. So you get a sense of the size, large wooden sailing vessel from the late 1800s sitting there on the bottom of Lake Huron, and you're literally inside examining it and experiencing history firsthand.
The E.B. Allen is just one of many treasures below the surface in the Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary. The ship lived a short life, but now acts as an example of the harsh conditions of Lake Huron. We hope you'll join us next week for another evening on the deck.